So I very recently finished watching season 4 of The Boys, and you guys probably know what The Boys is, but on the off chance you haven't heard of it, The Boys is a TV show that follows really evil and messed up superheroes that act like celebrities, but in fact, they're just straight up villains. And let me just say, the ending of the season was great, I enjoyed it overall, but I got to thinking, how strong is Homelander truly? Because, I mean, he's depicted as a powerhouse in The Boys, but how well does he do against other verses? So, I decided what would happen if we plopped Homelander straight into the My Hero Academia universe. And what better show to compare The Boys and Homelander to than another superhero show, that being My Hero Academia? To be fair, though, the superhero part is pretty much the only thing these two shows have in common, because My Hero Academia is lacking in a lot of things that The Boys has, such as gore, violence, lots of murder, a lot of really messed up sex scenes, a lot of drugs and politics, pretty much all of the above. Everything you can think that's messed up, The Boys has, and My Hero Academia doesn't have as much. But who cares about small little details? All that matters is that they're both superhero themed, so the comparison makes sense. So without further ado, let's get right into this. How would Homelander compare in terms of the My Hero Academia verse? Well, first off, we need to see how strong Homelander is in his own verse. By the way, just for clarification, I will only be discussing the show because I've never read the Boys comics, and honestly, I don't plan to. So, if Homelander did some crazy things in the comics, I'm not gonna know about it. But anyways, Homelander in the Boys TV show is easily not only the most powerful superhero that we've seen, he is the most powerful being in general. No one can stand up to him in the verse. We've seen Soldier Boy, who was meant to be the strongest superhero of the previous generation. He was around during World War II and a little bit beyond that. And he was basically the Homelander of his time. Fast forward to season 3, we see Soldier Boy and Homelander throw down, and for a moment, they're equally matched, but Homelander very quickly overpowers him, and we can see that the strength gap there is a lot. And we know Soldier Boy is no pushover either. He's able to take out entire multi-storied buildings with his blasts. He's able to tank punches from Homelander. He's able to tank Homelander's lasers, which have been shown to one-shot a lot of powerful individuals in the verse. So, the fact that Homelander is able to so easily overpower him in a one-on-one fight is very impressive. And a lot of the biggest destruction feats in the Boys series comes from Soldier Boy, such as him being able to blow up Vought Tower, which would scale him to probably large building level, maybe city block level if you decide to exaggerate his power a little bit. But either way, it means that Homelander, at the very minimum, scales to him. We've also seen Homelander do some other crazy things throughout the series, such as him being able to take out an entire private jet with a single blast from his lasers, or him stating that he can wipe out the entirety of New York off the map just for fun. And even though we've never seen him perform a feat to that level, if we do take his statement to heart, he would scale anywhere from multi-city level to maybe even state level. In terms of speed, we don't really have much to go off of because there's not that many insane speed feats in the Boys verse. But we do know from Homelander himself that when he was a kid, he was able to break the sound barrier, meaning kid Homelander, who was much, much weaker than current Homelander, was already moving faster than the speed of sound. We also saw the most impressive speed feat come from Homelander, surprisingly, considering that he's not a speedster. And his speed feat was him being able to outrun an explosion from Madeline's bomb vest back during one of the earlier seasons. Outrunning an entire explosion would scale Homelander to 18 times faster than the speed of sound, putting him at around Mach 18, which would make him hypersonic plus at the most. So he is undoubtedly the strongest and the fastest character in the entire boys verse, and no one in the boys can compare to him. But how does he compare against the My Hero Academia verse? Well, the truth is, frankly, he doesn't. A lot of people, for some reason, see My Hero Academia as a pushover of a verse in terms of power, but in all honesty, it is anything but that. Because Homelander wouldn't even be a top 10, maybe not even a top 20 character in the verse if we look at the strength of the My Hero Academia verse properly. Back during the early seasons of My Hero Academia, we see Deku and Bakugo having to participate in a joint training exercise where they had to go up against All Might. And just to preface, All Might would obviously not have been trying in this scenario because he's going up against two students. It would make no sense for him to go all out against students. And on top of that, he was extremely weakened considering that he only had the embers of One for All. Yet, even though All Might is not trying, he's extremely weakened, he is still able to blow an entire city block to smithereens with just the wind of his punches. Not even full direct punches. Just the wind is able to completely leave an entire block in catastrophe. Y'all remember earlier in the video when I said that one of the biggest destruction feats in the boys verse was Soldier Boy being able to blow up Vought Tower? Yeah, well, a not trying weakened All Might was able to do something that was 10 times more impressive and more destructive with just the wind generated from his punches. That All Might feat that I brought up isn't even in the top 10 most impressive My Hero Academia feats. And yet, it's already greater than anything the boys verse has accomplished. But just for the people that don't understand the power gap between My Hero Academia and the boys, let me put it into perspective. Deku, in the final fight of the war arc, when he was fighting against All for One, was able to release a punch that changed the weather of not only all of Japan, but changed the weather of Japan all the way to the United States of America for days. And mind you, that was a weakened base Deku with base One for All. He didn't have his other quirks to make him more powerful. And we do know that Deku with his other quirks can actively increase his speed and his strength through a variety of different ways and quirk combinations. And yet this weakened Deku was able to change the weather of majority of the world. And for those of you who don't understand how impressive of a feat this is, here's a map depicting the world. There's Japan on one side, and there's the United States on the other side. Everything in between Japan and the US was affected in terms of weather. Like, here's a panel of them talking about how the United States is meant to have very stormy and cloudy weather because of the war that was going on in Japan. But then after the war, we see that the United States' weather has completely cleared up all across the country, and they're still facing strong winds that were caused by Deku's singular punch. So, him being able to change the weather for an entire country, already insane. But he changed the weather for almost the entire world. And I know people are going to be like, oh, he changed the weather. Why is that so impressive? You know how much energy it would take for a punch to change the weather of the world? That amount of energy would scale Deku to at least multi-continental level, if not more. We've also seen characters in My Hero Academia like Shigaraki tank the entire brunt force of nukes being thrown at them, as shown in his fight with Stars and Stripes, which is something that no boys character can do or has never been shown capable of doing, meaning that Homelander has no attack in his arsenal that would be capable of damaging any of the top tiers in the My Hero Academia universe. And even though Homelander may be 18 times faster than the speed of sound, we have My Hero Academia characters who are damn near the speed of light, if not faster. We've seen Stars and Stripes be able to dodge Shigaraki's radio waves, and radio waves travel at the speed of light. We've also seen characters who are way faster than Stars and Stripes, characters who are capable of straight up blitzing Shigaraki, such as Bakugo and Deku. So, the top tiers in My Hero Academia are all around or faster than the speed of light itself, which is much, much faster than the speed of sound. So even though Homelander is by far the strongest character in the boys verse, he would probably not even be top 20 in the My Hero Academia verse. He would be no different from a C tier level hero. Like, this guy would not be taken seriously by any of the top tiers. Honestly, I would love to see Homelander one day go into the My Hero Academia universe expecting to be top dog and then just getting absolutely annihilated by like Froppy, for example. That would be a sight to see, and it would definitely put a big ego check on Homelander. But if you guys haven't already realized, Homelander cannot be compared to My Hero Academia. He would get absolutely mollywopped. He is not doing anything to anyone there. He would be either a C tier level hero or like a C tier level villain. Whatever. No one's going to care about him there. So frankly, it's going to be an all-out embarrassment on Homelander's part, and the only reason why Homelander looks so strong in the first place is because everyone in the boys verse is so weak, especially in comparison to other verses as we've seen here today. But hey, I know that at the end of the day, there are people who are still going to think that a Homelander is like this insanely overpowered character, when he's just not. But with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and make sure to like and subscribe, and let me know what other videos you guys want to see in the future. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.